William is in Atlanta. Hi, William. Welcome to the EntreLeadership podcast.
Hey, Dave. Thanks for having me. How are you doing today?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
So I'm 26 years old. I own a land clearing business. We work as a subcontractor for many grading companies. Most of the developments are for some of the largest home builders in America, with some warehouse and commercial work as well. Last year we did just over $3 million. This year we're projected to do $4 million. And my team size is about 17 employees currently.
Okay, great. Good job.
Thank you. So my question is it worth being in this business or not? It's very capital intensive. I'm not getting paid on time, and I feel burnt out and discouraged.
Okay. So what's your profit on $4 million?
Not a ton. We're usually around 8 to 10%.
So
as a
28-year-old William in Atlanta, Georgia, paid taxes on $400,000 last year or this year. That'd be 10% of $4 million, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's correct.
Okay. So you made $400,000 when you're 28 years old and you own your own business.
Yes, sir.
And how many years, how long ago did you start it?
6 years ago.
Okay. All right. Because nothing you're describing there sounds bad. Maybe
Right.
Maybe the methodology to get to the 400,000 is what's killing you, and you can change some of that. You own the dadgum thing.
Yes, sir. That's been the biggest hurdle is waiting on payment from a lot of our customers.
Mm-hmm. How many customers do you have?
We've got about 7 to 8 customers that we work for pretty regularly.
So about $500,000 a piece average.
Yes, sir.
On a $4 million year.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. And let's say customer A with $500,000 as an example. That represents how many jobs you would do for them in a year?
Typically 4 to 4.5.
So the typical job size is 100 to 150K.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. All right. Here's what I want. So most of these are large companies. And so I definitely would not close this. The second thing is you said, let me go back before I leave that. I'm going to come back around to that whole thing in just a second. You said it's capital intensive, meaning you buy expensive equipment to clear the ground.
Correct.
Okay. All right. And so how much in equipment do you own?
When all the assets combined, it's about $3.5 million.
And that's all land clearing equipment?
Yes, sir.
You don't own any real estate in $3.5 million?
Not included in that, no, sir.
So you have tractors and, it's not tractors, but
like excavators, loaders, grinders.
Mm-hmm. And how much debt do you have on all that?
$1.6 million.
On $3.5 million worth of equipment?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's pretend for a second that you had half as much equipment, no debt, and you only made $3 million, $2.5 million, but you made $400,000 on that, and everybody was paying on time. No debt, everybody's paying on time, and you're paying cash for your equipment from this point forward, and you've got half as much equipment right now in my new scenario because I just sold the one that you're in debt on. Just bear with me for a second. I want you to breathe this in because I'm trying to figure out your burnout, okay? Your burnout's from fighting debt. You feel like you're fighting a losing battle, and you can't get these goobers to pay you, and yet you're making $400,000 a year at 28 years old, just a few years into owning your business. That's pretty dadgum successful, and yet you're burnt out. So to me, it sounds like the debt load the idea that there's no light at the end of the tunnel, that I'm going to constantly be in debt the rest of my life, and the bad customers are taking the fun, the bad customer payment history is taking the fun out of your business. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Because you're a sharp dude, man. All right. So what I would do is begin a process gradually, and it might take 2 years, it might even take 3, to either paying off the equipment and or selling equipment to become debt-free. That's step 1. That won't keep you from being burnt out until you deal with, and you can start this tomorrow with your customers. You said you had 7 or 8 customers, right?
That's correct.
Okay. I want you to pick out the 2 worst ones on payment and let them know that if they can't prepay you starting now on the jobs because they're so bad at paying that you're not going to be able to do business with them anymore. I want you to fire them.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Can you breathe now? Because you sound like you choked.
It's just so one.
No, really.
No,
you have some customers that own your business.
Mm-hmm.
You need to own your business again. And these people are a complete pain in the butt, and you thought because they're big and they're loud and they have big shiny signs that you need them. You don't need them. You need them to go away. They are stealing your peace, and they're stealing the fun from your business. You need to fire them if they can't learn to behave.
Yes, sir.
Period. They're not worth dealing with. Typically, about 15 to 20% of our customers aren't worth screwing with, and certainly 2% of them aren't. We deal with the public. You're dealing with businesses, but we're dealing with the public. We're firmly convinced 2% of the public should be institutionalized. They're crazier than a bean. And so, we run into one that's just nuts. We're like, that one's just crazy. You need to keep them away because they'll take up all your time. 2% of your people will take up 98% of your time. You know the rule, right? And these 2 customers out of 8 are stealing $400,000 of your joy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because they're high maintenance, they're jerks, and they don't even pay on time. And you already have in your mind which 2 I'm talking about. And we've only been talking about this 3 minutes.
Right. Yeah, no, I definitely do. So one particular customer we've been awarded about $1 million worth of work for this customer. That's supposed to, one project starting this week, and the others in the next month. And this year we've already completed about $500,000 worth of work for them. So they've kind of shifted where last year we did around $500,000 for them, where I'm getting a lot of eggs in this one basket, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Here's how it sounds. When you have a collections and terms problem, which is what you have, you're not collecting your money on time, and they've set the terms to be, I'm going to pay you whenever I want, 60 days, 80 days, 90 days. You're now a tiny little guy with a bunch of equipment who is playing bank to these big companies. You're their freaking bank, and they're not even paying you interest. So that's your fault. That's the bad news. The good news is you can fix it. You're going to now give them a choice going forward that here's how it sounds. Hey, guys, I really like working for y'all. I really have enjoyed the huge jobs you've given me. Thank you for that, but I'm going out of business. You're putting me out of business. I think I'm going to have to close down if I don't change some things because I'm just a tiny, tiny little business guy, and I cannot carry you guys. You weigh too much. You're breaking my back. And so if we're going to do any more jobs for you, the terms for today forward are 50% up front and 50% when the job is complete. The day it is complete, I need payment. If you can't abide by those terms and you want someone else to be your bank, I completely understand. It's going to break my heart because I really want the jobs, but I can't carry you anymore. I'm going to go out of business if I keep doing this. And you're not even going to have me available because I'm just going to be gone. Mm-hmm. So you're going to lose a couple of the 8 when you do that.
Right.
And what I'm saying, what you don't understand, but I understand from 32 years of doing this is good riddance. See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya. Because in the real estate business, there's one thing we know. Developers are going to go out of business. All of them. They don't make it. And then guess who's going to be holding the bag? You. Because when this market turns down, and it just did turn down, but when it turns down again next time, I don't know when that's going to be, they're going to go out and you're going to be sitting there with a payable that's worth 0 because they're going into Chapter 11 or Chapter 7, and you're going to be sitting there and you can't pay your equipment bills because they owe you $500,000 and you can't absorb a $500,000 hit. You only make $400,000 a year.
Right.
So I would rather, if I'm you, have the peace of being paid a little bit up front, like half, and the balance due on completion of the job the day it's completed, because I'm really small. So you have to make special exception for me, and you have to cut me a check right then. I'll be over to the trailer to pick it up. You got to help me out here, guys, because I'm a little bitty guy, and you're a big old company, and I can't carry the weight of you. I need your help, guys. I really want to do this work. Please help me. And if you can't, gosh, I'm just so sorry. It's going to break my heart. We're going to have to go somewhere else. And that's how we've changed the terms on almost everything we do in this building. We had some people that were paying us after 90 days. An example I'll give you one is, and you're young, William, so you won't remember this, but when the internet first started, there were all these companies that popped up that were called .coms, and they were big technology boom, and they all went bust. And we were advertising on the Ramsey show, big money, like $1 million contracts. And these .coms would come in and buy ads from us, and then they would go bust and never pay us. And so I changed our terms. If you have .com in the name of your company, to this day, if you want to be on the Ramsey show, you have to prepay us because I figure you're going to go broke. And so if anybody's going to get money out of your deal, it's going to be me. So up front. Oh, well, we're not going to advertise. Our ad agency, your ad agency could kiss my butt. You're not advertising on the show unless you prepay if .com is in the name of the title of your company because you're unreliable in a volatile industry and I can't count on you. Industry standards. I don't really care what your industry standards are. I am the only way you're going to get on the Ramsey show. And if you want on the Ramsey show, this is how we do it. And now that's a little different and not quite as nice as the one I told you to use. The script I told you to use was much kinder. But I had to change the terms because I was getting screwed, William.
Yes, sir.
And you're getting screwed by these big companies. They're jacking you around, dangling you on a string like last week's worm looking for a brim.
I agree. I greatly appreciate it. I'll definitely go forward with
and
that.
if you get out of debt, you sell off some of this equipment, and and your business is 25 or 30% smaller, your profits are going to go up. You're probably going to make about the same amount of money. You're going to work a lot less, and you're not going to have a freaking ulcer. You take control back with the terms and how you're selling your customer, and part of the way you sell them is our terms are this. You have to pay. So one more story for the rest of you out there. Construction world. I've been in the construction world my whole life. Mom and Dad were in the real estate business. They built houses when I was growing up. And there's a rule. You don't pay a sub until he's done. Okay? And so my wife decides about 20 years ago, this fancy Brazilian wood porch she's going to put on the back of this house. And there's one company called the something company. I won't name them, okay? They're really, really good at what they do. They're a little expensive, and they do an incredible job. Their quality is amazing, and they built porches all over our neighborhood. Everybody had a blankety-blank porch from this company, and my wife gets one drawn up, and I'm like, okay, number one, that's too much money for a porch. Number two, these people want 50% up front. What if they just take off to freaking Jamaica with our 50% deposit? And I sat down with a guy, and I'm going, look, I grew up in construction. We don't pay subs up front. And he goes, well, we're not going to be able to build your porch. You know what I did? My wife made me put up 50% up front. I bent to that guy's terms, and I bought that porch. Now, he did a good job, and he did finish it, to his credit. I didn't get screwed. But you just don't do that in construction. You don't prepay somebody to put a porch on the back of your house 50%. I did. It worked out, but it's in violation to everything I believe, because that guy said, you don't own my company, Dave. This is how my company operates. If you want my company to build your porch, these are the terms. And I get to decide then if I want to do business with his company or not. And he was willing to walk away. And you know what? He doesn't get screwed by consumers that don't pay him either. Bless his heart, because I'll help you with the numbers, okay? If you're building a freaking porch, 50% covers you probably got a 50% margin in the thing, but it sure covers all your materials and a lot of your labor. So even if you don't get the other 50% off the back because something bad happens, you're not going to go broke with his model. His model's excellent for him. But boy, did I have to eat some crow because I'm a complete lover of my wife, and she just said, we're doing this. It was SWI. Sharon wants it, which is a financial rule at our house, by the way. But that guy, to his credit, man, he's doing exactly what I just told William to do. And he builds a good porch. He did a good job. It was a long time ago. The porch is still on the back of that same house. I still own that house. It's a rental house now. But oh my gosh, with Brazilian wood on the porch. God help me. This is the EntreLeadership Podcast.